And for after decades of saying, oh, we need to limit the power of government. Oh, we need to limit the power. Say, well, maybe the president should actually be above most criminal prosecution. Also, as a quick thing, you keep saying that, no, it's just partial immunity for official acts. What is an official act of the president? If you actually listen to the oral arguments that were presented before the Supreme Court, what that act even is and the ability to even probe for it is stuff right now that is now presumed to be immune. For instance, just a real quick thing. When Donald Trump is asking Pence, hey, can you throw out the election because I don't like the results, which is a real thing that happened, by the way, as much as Trump would like to say that's not true, that is counted as an official action because these are the roles of the president and vice president, deciding how to count the electoral votes. That is insanity to me. If Biden were to do anything remotely similar, Republicans would lose their minds.
Have you read the decision? I know it just came out this.
That's an echo chamber example, really bad example by Destiny, which is sad because Destiny is actually a pretty good debater. The problem with that example, and he could have created any example he wanted to, is he's talking about something that Donald Trump did that was wrong, right? But Michael Knowles is a right-wing propagandist. So the business that he's in is providing cover for the right wing and the Republican Party and therefore Donald Trump. So he's not allowed to acknowledge Donald Trump doing anything wrong, right? So the idea of you presenting something that in reality Trump did that was wrong as an example that is supposed to, I mean, from a debate tactic, Destiny should be using something that should make Michael Knowles feel uncomfortable and force him to explain it. Right? Present a scenario where, what if Donald Trump tries to sexually assault Nancy Pelosi and consider an official act? Right? If that was a valid thing, the good tactic of that would be now Michael Knowles has to explain how this could be okay, how this ridiculous thing, how this atrocity could be okay. And that's going to be an uncomfortable position, so it's going to force him to deflect and play games. But instead, you present something that I'm pretty sure Michael Knowles will say and has said on his channel, oh, that was totally legit, and that's just the Constitution allows for that, and they weren't trying to steal elections, they were just trying to blah, blah, blah. Right? You can't use an example of how dangerous this ruling was, in which it involves something that Michael Knowles, will argue was not a big deal. So now you want to shift the debate to a conversation about the 2020 election? Instead of bringing up an example that genuinely is scary and will generally make Michael Knowles uncomfortable in terms of how do I explain this?
This morning, but have you gone through the decision yet?
I read up to page 25, and part of it, I can read it out to you. He explicitly calls out that whenever the president and vice president discuss their official responsibilities, they engage in official conduct, meaning that presiding over the January 6th certification proceeding, at which members of Congress, yes, so that did count as official conduct. So if you thought that he was trying to do a coup, try to steal the election by saying, hey, do you think you can throw those votes out?
Which, of course, Michael Knowles will pretend to not believe, which completely renders this attack vector worthless. And as an expert debater, he should know better.
Well, that's beyond prosecution.
You can dispute or object to any actions that Trump takes, but it is simply the case that when a president...
You can dispute... This is a guy that's super smooth, right? When the facts are on his side, right? Or an easy argument. He's a pretty smooth guy. I've seen him jump on stuff, and he's got in 1977, he got that thing going. Now all of a sudden,
conduct. So if you thought that he was trying to do a coup, try to steal the election by saying, hey, do you think you can throw those votes out? Well, that's beyond prosecution.
You can dispute or object to any actions that Trump takes, but it is simply the case that when a president is carrying out his duties and is speaking to his subordinates in the White House, that is obviously official business. If he were to bring in a bunch of, I don't know, drug dealers and hookers or something, that would probably be an unofficial crime, not related to his duties as president. And the reason that this matters and why it's really a moderate decision is because it goes back about 40 years to Nixon versus Fitzgerald, which found out that the president, yes, indeed, has quite a lot of immunity from at least from some civil liability. And then the reason that this is such a novel bombshell case is because until Joe Biden tried to throw his rival into the clink, we didn't prosecute presidents, because that's the kind of behavior typical of banana republics and tin pot dictatorships. But the argument, and I'm sure you've read this.
In a banana republic, Donald Trump would not be charged, right? He's a billionaire. Billionaires don't get held accountable in a banana republic. In a banana republic, Donald Trump is still the president. In a banana republic, Joe Biden is assassinated. But it's a bad thing that he brings up the example of Joe Biden putting his political opponent in the clink, because the very court opinion that we are debating would allow him to openly do this without legal consequence. If Donald Trump is declared a threat to democracy, if Joe Biden believes that Donald Trump is going to stage another January 6th, if Joe Biden believes that if Donald Trump wins, there'll never be another election, he's going to stay in power forever, then he is constitutionally obligated to take action. Now, prior to this ruling, the kind of action that he could take to put a permanent stop to the risk that Donald Trump poses would put him in serious trouble, just like how Donald Trump has been charged and convicted. The Republicans would definitely see that Joe Biden has the same treatment. They would nothing make them more happy than to be able to go after Joe Biden for coming up with a permanent solution to stopping Trump from destroying our democracy, right? This is what they say. This is their rhetoric. And they have a lot of support behind that rhetoric. And according to this ruling, official acts, it would be an official act for Joe Biden to do whatever it takes to stop a terrorist leader from taking over the country. It would be an official act if Joe Biden declared MAGA a terrorist group, using what happened on January 6th and many other things as examples of how they're a terrorist group, using Project 2025, and they could string together a case that MAGA is a terrorist group. They must be stopped. Put the CIA taking out Donald Trump. Put the IRS to audit the key influencers of the MAGA movement, putting the FBI to go after all of the key influencers, Charlie Kirk, Steven Crowder, Jim Jordan, you name it. Set the DOJ to go after them, dig and dig and dig, find anything, Matt Gaetz, and if you can't find something, to put them in prison, or to otherwise stop them from becoming a threat or continuing to be a threat. He could order the Department of Justice to manufacture evidence, right? So all of a sudden, a massive plot manifests into reality, and evidence supporting the existence of this plot shows up on people's hard drives, in people's garages, in people's bedrooms. And then there's a bunch of court cases that result in life sentences for all the top leaders in the MAGA movement. Right? Joe Biden could do all of this under the guise of protecting America from a domestic terrorist threat. And there's nothing that you could do to him legally, because these would all be official acts. Joe Biden could declare the Republican Party to have been completely taken over by a terrorist movement called MAGA, and declare the entire Republican Party shut down. Sure, you could try to impeach him, but if the Democrats are the party that right-wing propagandists like Michael Knowles tell us they are, all of the right-wing influencers, if the Democratic Party is the party that they sell to their viewers for money, then impeachment will fail, because the Democrats will support Joe Biden in his illegal actions to shut down his competition. Illegal and overt actions, because we have official records, all the communications, we have all the records, all the emails phone calls or whatever of Joe Biden orchestrating this shutdown of the GOP, right? If the Democrats are who they claim they are, they would not support impeachment. They would support Joe Biden. So the impeachment would fail. And you can't take him to court because he's immune, because these are official acts. End of story. Even if we consider the reality of who the Democrats are, which is a party that would not stand by and let Joe Biden go that far, way before he gets even a quarter of the way through the things I've described, they would be enough Democrats to support an impeachment. So he gets removed from office. However, unfortunately, that doesn't bring Donald Trump back to life. That doesn't overturn the sentences of all the MAGA people who have been illegally charged with crimes. Right? They would have manufactured the evidence, so you would need to be able to prove that that is what they did, first of all. But regardless, anyone that's assassinated, it's already done. The damage to the Republican Party by him banishing them, it's already done. You can't unring the bell. The right-wing movement in America, I'm not talking about the ideology, I'm talking about the movement. The movement that is run by buffoons like Michael Knowles, like Ben Shapiro, like Steven Crowder, the Fox 5, Newsmax. The movement that's run by these people, they're so lost that they spend all this time fair-mongering about how the Democrats are such a threat and they are the dictators and they want to take away our rights and they want to take away our guns. Yet these same people would empower the Democrats to be able to do whatever they want to do as long as it's under the cloak of an official act. So consider every single thing that the president does. Consider all of the president's duties, official duties, and imagine in the scope of all those duties that there's no legal limits. It's an official act, so he has legal immunity. Maybe the next Democrat president wants to mandate that the Department of Education makes the trans agenda part of their curriculum. Starting from the 3rd grade, all students in American public schools are to be taught about the benefits of being trans or gay or whatever. Immune. The next Democrat president, the leader of our military, decides to go to war against any Trump-friendly countries, any countries that seem sympathetic to the Republican Party or Donald Trump. Go to war with them. Maybe nuke them. Immune. Commanding the military is an official act of the President of the United States. He shouldn't be using the military domestically, but what's to stop him from doing so? An official act. MAGA declared a terrorist threat that's colluding with foreign agents. We send the military to take out all of their leaders in violation of the laws of this country. Democrat president does that, cannot be held accountable. Official acts. The American right wing have lost their minds. They have become a cult, and they can only see in one direction, and that direction is those evil liberals, those evil Democrats. They can't see anything wrong on their side. I don't mean that literally. But something that should terrify them, which is giving Democrats more power, has no impact because they're only focused on, oh, those evil Democrats. Those Democrats are going after our guy, so anything that supports our guy is a good thing. No vision beyond the moment. No concept of the implications. for their political opponents that they're supposedly terrified of. We're supposed to be afraid of Joe Biden. He's the dictator. They say that Trump is a dictator, but Joe Biden's the dictator. Yet, there is no decades-long precedent that has been overturned by the Supreme Court that Joe Biden has built up and is in league with him. Right? It's not the Democrats who set up the Supreme Court to favor their ideology and used it to overturn a decades-long precedent. That was Trump and the Republicans. It's not Joe Biden who took actions which led to the expansion of presidential powers, which puts the Republicans and the right at risk. That was Donald Trump. It's not Joe Biden who fired a bunch of people who represent the guardrails of our government. That was Donald Trump, firing as many people as he could who had the power to protect us from a rogue president. That was Donald Trump and the Republican Party. This is the Debate Me channel. Debate me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. It's a sad day for America. You can be a conservative, you can be a Republican voter, and at the same time recognize the insanity that's coming from your side, in the same way that you would like the liberals to do on their side. Lead by example, American conservatives, if that is even a thing. If you ask me, the term American conservative is a myth.